So in 2011, December, Star Wars The Old Republic came out. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was hyped when this game first came out. Like, just looking at all the trailers and the cinematics. This game looked awesome. It looked like it was gonna dethrone WoW for being the best MMO ever. Like, it was basically my favorite type of game mixed with my favorite franchise ever. It was Star Wars and an MMO. I thought there was no way you could go wrong. And for the most part, I was wrong. So when the game kind of launched, I already had the early access stuff. You know, we all played it, we all loved it. I remember making my assassin tank, and I just remember being a complete beast on the game, just staying up till like the next day morning. Like I would stay up from all the way till like 5, 6, 7 in the morning, and I would go to sleep, and I'd wake up at about 3 or 4 in the evening, and I'd keep going, keep grinding at it. Bear in mind, I was still in high school at this time, and I would actually just take days off of school just to play this game because I was so in love with it. So I've got a really strong, or I had a really strong connection to this game. It was basically like my heroine. It was my end all and be all. I played the game like it was a religion, and that's what actually made it harder for me to say goodbye to this game when I eventually did in 2019. I think a lot of things led up to me leaving this game, and I think one of the things I'm gonna be doing for my channel is I'm gonna be releasing a multi-part kind of documentary on everything that kind of happened in the game, from all the guild dramas all the way down to the mechanics and everything that just made me unsubscribe, to be honest with you. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. I think one of the things that made me definitely leave, which was, I would say, one of the first signs of decline, was in, I'd say, around 2015, where the game really started going downhill. Like, I remember a couple months after the game come out, there was a lot of servers, you know. There were so many servers, they were always packed, everything. And then, you know, they started shutting down servers and merging servers. So the game had kind of dropped down. But I think that's natural with most MMOs, is that's literally what happens. You know, a new MMO starts up and it's jam-packed, every server is jam-packed, and, you know, it's a great community. And then I'd say give it around 6 months where everyone's kind of burnt through all the content. People start leaving, people don't come back, people go on breaks, so on and so forth, and you know, all these servers start going unpopulated. All these big servers now, all these so many different servers. So they did a server crunch, which is perfectly fine. You know, it happens. So they've done a server merge now, and I think this is when we all kind of started joining guilds, because we had the leveling servers that we all leveled on, and then in the end we just got transferred to different servers to where we actually then started doing endgame on. I remember I had a couple of, all my Republic characters were on the US server, the North American server, and all my Sith characters were on the European server. I eventually did make imps and pubs on both the European and the other side, US servers. So that was easily eventually resolved. Like there was no bias, I guess. But I think a lot of my experience, I spent most of my time on the North American server, due to my sleeping pattern at the time was just completely off. Like I'd be up at like stupid o'clock in the morning, and I'd be sleeping during the day for the most part. I would have characters on the European server which I would play quite a lot as well, but I think for the most part most of my social interactions were on the North American server. I think the first interaction I had with a guild on the a North American server. I was on a server called Jungma. I remember the first guild I joined actually was a guild called Knights of Soken. Knights of Soken was a decent guild, you know. Everyone there was pretty cool. I can't really say anything bad against most people there. I say most people there because it does get, you know, pretty juicy eventually. So I've joined this guild now, Knights of Soken. Everything's cool, everything's alright. They're very big into their roleplay at the time. This was on a server called Jungma back in 2014. This would have happened. So yeah, I joined this guild, and everyone there was pretty nice. You know, I met some nice people there. A lot of the officers were okay. They were pretty nice as well, and it was pretty cool. Everyone was down to earth, and so I was there for, you know, a month, I think, until I met this other kid. And this is where the story gets more, it just gets interested from here. So I met this kid. His name was Malvok. That was his in-game name, Malvok. His real name I'm not gonna say for you know, personal reasons. So this kid, he starts off as a nice kid. You know, he's this kid from Utah. He's alright, you know, but he's very strong in his opinions. So like, I don't know, for example, if he likes something and you prefer the opposite, he would just stick you on mute and talk all over you just because he can. And that it made him a jerk. He was essentially a jerk for the most part. And I think eventually he got kicked out the guild, and then they would do this thing where you had a meeting with the officers. It was kind of like a disciplinary trial, if you may. So there was that, you know. And I think from what I heard, this was the story going around from all the officers. Apparently this kid started crying on TeamSpeak at the time. He's like, oh hey, oh please don't kick me out the guild, please. When I was in jail, all I could think of was Sokan. Obviously the guild's called Knights of Soken. So they kind of, I'm not sure if they felt sorry for him and let him back, or he got kicked out, because I do remember he did join again when I wasn't there. No, that's it. He did get kicked out, because after he got kicked out, he texted the GM, because he had the GM's phone number for some reason, because I think the GM felt sorry for the kid. You know, I think them two were on like a first name basis, like they would refer to each other as their actual names. So yeah, the GM then, he then texted the GM telling the GM, oh, I am this kid, I am so and so, I'm Malvok's grandmother. He just overdosed on his pills and committed suicide. He said he did something along the lines of that, and I think when it was found out that that wasn't true, that kind of blacklisted him forever. But I do remember I ended up leaving because while all this was going on, while he got kicked out, I was gone, because the kid had just kind of been an asshole to me, and like nothing was getting done about it. And it just made the game unfun, to be honest with you. And you know, also my subscription was expiring, so I just thought, fuck it, G-quit, log out. It was done. And then I went and joined another guild called Systems Commonwealth, which we'll save for another time. That's another story. But eventually I did go back to Soken. You know, I went back to Soken, I would say, at the end of 2014. I went back to Soken, and it was more or less the same, but because I'd had some interactions with some other guilds on the server, one of those guilds being a guild called Systems Commonwealth. If you know it, you know it. But we'll get to that story soon. We'll get to that story. It's just going to take a while for us to get there, because it's one of those things that has to be told. So yeah, I end up joining back with Knights of Soken, and they told me, oh yeah, Malvok's gone, and then they told me the whole story about the whole grandma incident and so on and so forth, which had happened. So yeah, I've been in this guild now. The old GM who was there before, his name was Kaz. Kaz had stepped down and gone, and then I think he quit game for a while. Well, I didn't. I never saw him come back. To be honest with you. And a lot of the ones who I played with, I think there was one guy, Mirror Maker, who was the only one who was there, and he's the one who told me about the whole story. And there was another person there called Raina, who was one of my trusted healers when I used to raid. So yeah, this person ended up leaving, and I found that all out, and I was told that he would never come back to the guild, that he'd been blacklisted forever. So, you know, everything's going perfectly fine. But like I said, this kid was crazy. Like, I don't know if it's an American thing, whether he's from Utah, what have you, but this kid legitimately apparently started crying on TeamSpeak. Like, when I was in jail, he got the R word, and all he could think of was the guild. I remember, like, it's one of those stories that just kind of stick with you, and you're just sitting there like, the fuck? So yeah, it was funny. But like I was saying before, when I joined Systems Commonwealth, me and the GM kind of left on sour terms. Again, I will get into that later. All I know is he started drama with me, which then caused Knights of Soken to get involved into this whole drama. And they weren't too happy about it, and eventually me and Soken did part ways. I think it was more on my behalf where I wanted to go, because I just felt, not necessarily awkward, I felt more embarrassed. The fact that I've got this guy coming after me, gunning for me. And this isn't the first time this guy, the leader of Systems Commonwealth, came after me. His name's Nick. This isn't the first time Nick came after me. This happened on a few occasions, which again I said I will discuss in a video dedicated to systems. So yeah, that was one thing which definitely stuck with me. And again, I kind of left game for a while after that. In fact, I left server after leaving Knights of Soken. I think I spent a time in another guild called Deus Ex Machina, who were actually built off of Systems Commonwealth. They're detractors, departers from Systems, which we will talk about eventually. But yeah, no, it was one of those things where I've got no ill will against Knights of Soken. You know, I still talk to a few former members from there, and I think because I made this video before and they found it and they were perfectly fine with it. The new GM was perfectly fine with it. Apparently he didn't care, because I haven't really got anything bad to say about anyone from Soken. You know, everyone there was polite to me to an extent. I think there was maybe one or two officers who weren't really people persons, so that was just kind of that, really. Like, it didn't really bother me. And I do wish them all the best of luck in their future endeavors. And I hope they're doing well. I hope the guild is still alive. Anyway, next time we'll be talking about the Systems Commonwealth guild drama. It's gonna kind of be a big one. So, yeah.